for joining and keeping the appointment with Krishna today. And today we say Srimad Bhagavatam. We'll be discussing from third canto, 33rd chapter, second part from 18 to the last 37th verse. So let us start with Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivar Dhari Jaya Girivar Dhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Yamuna Tira Vanachari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare जगन्नाथ बदेश्वर माई की जय नरसिंह भगवान की जय पंच तत्व की जय षड गोस्वामी की जय गुरु परंपरा की जय श्री गुरुपाद की जय श्री गुरुदेव राघव परिपूर्ण ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God Narayana, unto Naranayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके bhaktir naistiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So Hare Krishna Maharaj, today we'll continue with the last Saturday, third canto, third chapter was started. So first half was completed. So the second half from verse number 18 till last 37 we'll discuss. I'll share the screen. First we'll recite one verse. That is a 26th verse, and then ब्रह्मण्यवस्थित मते भगवत्यात्म संश्रये निवृत्त जीवापतित्वात् क्षीणक्षीणा क्लेशाप्त निवृत निवृत्तिः ब्रह्मण्यवस्थित मतिर् भगवत्यात्म संश्रये निवृत्त जीवापतित्वात् Kshinakshir Kleshapta Nirvritihi. Synonyms. Brahmani in Brahman. Avasthita, situated. Matihi, her mind. Bhagavati, the Supreme Personality of God. Atma Samshraye, residing in all living entities. Nirvritta, freed. Jiva, of the Jiva soul. Apatitvat, from the unfortunate condition. Kshina, disappeared. Klesha, material pangs. Apta, attained. Nirvritihi, transcendental bliss. Translation by Tilaprapasha. Her mind became completely engaged in the Supreme Lord, and she automatically realized the knowledge of the impersonal Brahman. As a Brahman realized soul, she was freed from the designations of the materialistic concept of life. Thus, all material pangs disappeared, and she attained transcendental bliss. Yeah, I will read the purport and discuss it during the class. Om Gyantimara Jnananja Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadati Savadatikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsya श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सगणरघुनाथामितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगणलिता श्रीविशाखावितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये माञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभयेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचम् इमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयति अखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना रम्यां च हस्तचरणश्रवणतो गादीन् प्राणानमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातं वन्दे भगवन्तमातरम् नमो विष्णुपदकृष्णपृष्ठभूतैषधवाहनशुभसंहिनाम्नि नमो विष्णुदेवसर्वैश्वर जय श्री कृष्ण प्रसन्न प्रभु श्री अद्वैत हरे कृष्ण. So this chapter from third canto, chapter number 33, this is the last verse of this third canto, the activities of Kapil Muni. See, in the first verse, the translation, see not the first verse, I think the third verse, it very nicely explained about the quality of determination. We should all be determined. Everybody is very much determined to come to this class and hear Bhagavatam, right? So that determination should be there in any field of in our field of life, especially in devotional service. So in this translation, it says 333:3, my dear Lord, although personally you have nothing to do, you have distributed your energies in the interactions of the material modes of nature, and for that reason, the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation takes place. My dear Lord, you are self-determined and are the supreme personality of Godhead for all living entities. For them, you created this material manifestation. And although you are one, your diverse energies can act multifariously. So this is inconceivable to us. See, previous to these chapters, we would see like Kapil Muni, the son of Kadam Muni and Devati. He was actually Supreme Personal Godhead. He came as their son and he gave the full, wonderful devotional service, Sankhya philosophy. So actually, this third verse is spoken by Devati Mata, glorifying Lord Kapil Deva. In fact, in this verse, the word avitatha visandhihi means one whose determination is never futile. See, it is very important for us to understand. See, being determined, no, is one of the 64 qualities of the Lord, as it is described by Srila Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Devotion. So, being part and parcel of Krishna, the living entities also should also exhibit this quality of determination. Just talk about a little bit about the determination because it's very important in our devotion service. The first point we can understand about the meaning of determination. See, determination does not mean simply sit in one place with closed eyes. Correct? See, for many people, that is also determination. But in the context of devotional service, Srila Prabhupada explains the word determination as um, any person, okay, who observes the regulative principles and fulfills his promises by practical activity is called determination. Any person who observes the regulative principles and fulfills his promises by what? Practical activity, that is called determination. So in case of Krishna, we know that Krishna fulfills his vows by doing some practical activity. To save Draupadi, he personally went. To save Gajendra, he went himself. So he was engaged in some practical activity to keep his vows, to protect the devotees. So in the nectar of devotion, Srila Prabhupada says, see, once Satyabhama, one of the Krishna's queens, wanted the Parijata flower in Indra's kingdom, right? And Krishna promised to deliver it. But Indra refused to part with this Parijata flower. So what happened? There was a great fight with Krishna and the Pandavas on one side and all of the demigods on the other. Ultimately, Krishna defeated all of them and took the Parijata flower, which he presented to his queen, Satyabhama. So Krishna told, in this connection, Krishna told Ardhamani, my dear great sage of the demigods, now you can declare to the devotees in general and to the non-devotees in particular that in this matter of taking the Parijata flower, all the demigods, Gandharvas, Nagas, demons, Nakshasas, Yakshas, Panni, everybody, they tried to defeat me. But none could make me break my promise to my queen. And there is another promise by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita to the effect that his devotees will never be vanquished. Name bhaktya pranashyati. So, sincere devotee who is always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, should know for certain that Krishna will never break his promise. He will always protect his devotees in every circumstance. So first we saw the meaning of determination. Then Krishna's second point is Krishna's determination is absolute. See, in the purport of 33, Prabhupada writes that devotee says, your determination is absolute. There is no question of your fulfilling your will with the help of anyone else besides yourself. You are in the end the supreme soul and the supreme controller. Your will, therefore, cannot be checked by anyone else. See, in the material world, we always need some support to fulfill our determination. See, we take some vows to fulfill, right? And we need some paraphernalia support. But none can check Krishna's plans. We say that Lord Ram conquered conquered Lanka with the help of monkeys. But that is not the fact. Lord Ram simply wanted to engage those monkeys in service. Otherwise, the Lord does not need anyone's support, right? So that is the second. Third one is the importance of the quality of determination. See, in the conclusion to the book, Teaching of Lord Kapila, Prabhupada very emphatically, he writes, there are many contaminations within the heart. And the people in this age are engaged in many sinful activities, illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. So the whole world is revolving around these things. Yet, despite this, we have to spread this Krishna consciousness movement. There may be many obstacles, but they can all be transcended by Krishna's mercy. And Prabhupada says we only have to be determined in our devotion. That's what he says. The rest will follow. So this is the essence of Lord Kapila's instructions to his mother devotee. So with this we can understand how much important is the quality of determination, right? See, we have heard the word Diksha. Diksha, which means initiation, right? So the word Dikshit means a person who is determined. An initiated devotee means a determined devotee. So we are determined to observe certain rules and regulations, and to follow certain principles. In the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains who are all the persons who are very dear to him. And in those verses, he explains the various qualities a person should possess so that he can become dear to him. And one of the important qualities is that Dhrida Nishchaya, meaning one who is engaged in devotional service with determination. See, there are 6 principles of surrender. And 6 principles. And the first principle is Anukulyasya Sankalpaha, meaning accepting things favorable to devotional service. So the word Sankalpa means, again, that we should be determined that we will accept only those things which are favorable to devotional service. And the second principle is that we should be determined to reject things not favorable to devotional service. That's why in Bhagavatam 4.8.72, Prabhupada is full of praise for the determination of Dhruva Maharaj. Because he writes, we should always remember that to become a bona fide devotee of the Lord is not an easy task. But in this age, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it has been made very easy. But if we do not follow even the liberal instructions of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then how can we expect to discharge our regular duties in devotional service? It is not possible in this age to follow Dhruva Maharaj in his austerity, right? But the principles must be followed. We should not disregard the regulatory principles given by our spiritual master because, because they make it easier for the conditioned souls. So Prabhupada says, as far as our ISKCON movement is concerned, we simply ask that one observe the 4 prohibitive rules, chant 16 rounds, and instead of indulging in luxurious eating for the tongue, simply accept prasad offered to the Lord. See, as far as possible, we should accept simple food stuff just to keep the body and soul together to execute devotional service. So it is our duty to remember that in comparison to Dhruva Maharaj, we are insignificant. We cannot do anything like what Dhruva Maharaj did for self-realization. But because we are absolutely incompetent to do like that, to execute such service, but by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, we have been given all concessions, so much of discounts, offers, all concessions possible for this age. So at least we should always remember that neglect of our prescribed duties in devotional service will not make us successful in the mission we have undertaken. So it is our duty to follow in the footsteps of Dhruva Maharaj, for he was very determined. We should also be determined to finish our duties in executing devotional service in this life. We should not wait for another life to finish our job. So Prabhupada's explanation on the effects of determination is a very, very important for us to understand, especially to be continuously, constantly, Nityam Bhagavad Seva, right? Every moment we should be in Krishna consciousness and do our vows. See, one time in India, Srila Prabhupada was staying in Mayapur, right? Two of Srila Prabhupada's Western disciples, sannyasis, they visited a temple and the pujari there, he commented, Pujari in the temple, continue to render devotional service. Maybe in your next life, you will be born as a Brahmana. That pujari told the Western devotees. The pujari was a Brahmin by birth and was proud of his position. So when the disciples told this incident to Srila Prabhupada, he smiled and he narrated a story. Once there was an old lady who lived in a remote village. One day, the British magistrate visited her town. So the old lady had been entangled in a quarrel regarding possession of the land, which some of her relatives were trying to take from her. So her friends advised that the magistrate would help her if she takes the issue to him. And when the magistrate gave the judgment in her favor, the old lady was very much happy, very delighted. So in an attempt to bless the magistrate, she said, I bless you that in your next life, you will become a police constable. See, in the old lady's mind, the office of police constable was the highest thing she could imagine. Similarly, these caste brahmanas, they do not know that pure devotional service is much higher than being born as a brahmana. That's why this verse recited by Devati Mata 333, 7th verse. Oh, how glorious, very beautiful verse. Translation is very nice. Please hear carefully. Oh, how glorious are they whose tongues are chanting your holy names. Even if born in the families of dog eaters, such persons are worshipable. Persons who chant the holy name of your Lordship must have executed all kinds of austerities and fire sacrifices and achieved all the good manners of the Aryans. To be chanting the holy name of your Lordship, they must have bathed at holy places of pilgrimage, studied the Vedas, and fulfilled everything required. So Prabhupada in his purport gives a nice example. Just like a sitting judge on the bench of a court and giving his verdict, has already passed all legal exams and is better than those who are engaged in the study of law. So similarly, those who are engaged in chanting the Lord's holy names are transcendental to those performing Vedic rituals or those who are expecting to be purified. So the moment you chant, now we are chanting beads in our hands, that means you have already completed all those. We're going to pilgrimage, studying Vedas, it's already been done. That's why we are able to chant with us. So such is the glory of the holy names of the Lord. The chanting of the holy names is the Yuga Dharma for this Kali Yuga. and bestows on the chanter the highest benediction. So let us pray to Guru Prabhupada and Krishna, no? So we can develop the taste and attraction to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And also to chant to please the Lord and not for any other purpose. Right? So really, Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. It's very important. See, from the verse 16, 17, and 16th onwards, no? 17, 16, 17, 3 verses, the opulence of the household of Kadambuni is described in these verses. See, the 19th verse, okay, the purport, Prabhupada mentions the first statement, he says, the ideal husband and wife relationship is very nicely described in this statement. And the statement was a translation where it says, when Devoti would enter that lovely garden, because he described so beautiful, no, the descriptions. I'll just share the screen for those descriptions given. See, 16 is there. The opulence of the household of Kadamuni is described here. The bed sheets and mattresses were all as white as the foam of milk. The chairs and benches were made of ivory and were covered with cloths of lace with golden filigree. And the couches were made of gold and had very soft pillows. In 17th, he says, the walls of the house were made of first class marble, decorated with valuable jewels. There was no need of light, for the household was illuminated by the rays of these jewels. The female members of the household were all amply decorated with jewelry. 18th says, the compound of the main household was surrounded by beautiful gardens with sweet, fragrant flowers and many trees which produced fresh fruit and were tall and beautiful. The attraction of such gardens was that singing birds would sit on the trees and their chanting voices, as well as the humming sound of the bees, made the whole atmosphere as pleasing as possible. So, in the 19th, we see, when Devati would enter that lovely garden, take her bath in the pond filled with the lotus flowers, the associates of the denizens of heaven, the Gandharvas, would sing about Kardama's glorious household life. Her great husband, Kardama, gave her all protection at all times. See, the purport, very nice to. So, the first statement is the ideal husband and wife relationship is very nicely described in this statement. Now, Kardamuni gave Devavati all sorts of comforts in his duty as a husband, but he was not at all attached to his wife. As soon as his son Kapil Deva was grown up, Kadambuni at once left all family connection. Similarly, Devati was the daughter of a great king, Swayambhu Manu, and was qualified and beautiful, but she was completely dependent on the protection of her husband. See, according to Manu, women, the fair sex, should not have independence at any stage of life. In childhood, a woman must be under the protection of the parents. In youth, she must be under the protection of the husband. And in old age, she must be under the protection of the grown-up children. So Devati demonstrated all these statements of the Manu Samhita in her life as a child. Because as a child, she was dependent on her father. Later, she was dependent on her husband. In spite of her opulence, right? Because husband was not very opulent. He was Karma Muni is a sage. So she was very much dependent. And she was later on dependent on her son, Kapil Deva. So the first statement, let us see what is the ideal husband-wife relationship very nicely described. So what is an ideal husband-wife relationship? See, I came across a very beautiful verse from Bhagavatam 9, 3, 10, emphasizing on the qualities of an ideal chaste wife, like Sukanya. See, Chavana Muni, she was his wife. Chavana very elderly, very old. He had the temperament of always wanting to be in a superior position and was very irritable. So his wife Sukanya could understand his attitude. And under the circumstance, she treated him accordingly. So this verse says Chavani was very irritable, but since Sukanya had gotten him as her husband, she dealt with him carefully, according to his mood. So she dealt with him carefully according to his mood. Knowing his mind, she performed service to him without being bewildered. So Srila Prabhupada, he reveals the secret of peaceful marital bliss. He says, if any wife wants to be happy with her husband, she must try to understand her husband's temperament and please him. So this is victory for a woman. So each and every page of Bhagavatam discloses the secret of how to lead our life, how to deal with individuals. See, as in the Vedic culture, no, we have to still be rooted with more patience and tolerance. See, when two people of different mentalities come together, there is bound to be difference. But the success lies in how we use our intelligence and cope up with the differences. So the best way for a wife, Prabhupada says, is to be really submissive to the husband. In whatever position she may be, just tolerate what a husband does. Keep on hearing to what he says. Finally, he will also notice how she behaves, and gradually there is going to be harmony between them. See, Krishna is watching us, and he will solve everything. See, nowadays, a working woman may think, I am independent. Why am I supposed to be low before my husband? But we forget the fact that Krishna has selected so and so person according to our karma, and we get whatever we deserve. Just understand this point. We can tolerate all that our bosses in our office says, right? We'll be like a cat before the boss. But when it comes to husband or even to the wife, we can't tolerate anything from him or her. Why is this so? See, Prabhupada says a very wonderful point. However great a woman may be, she must place herself before her husband in this way. That is to say, she must be ready to carry out her husband's orders and please him in all circumstances. Then her life will be successful. See, when the queens of Lord Krishna, who are the queens? They are daughters of great kings. So when the queens of Lord Krishna treated themselves as his maid servants, what are we in front of them? So they teach us how to be submissive and at the same time treat husband lovingly. So Prabhupada says that when the wife becomes as irritable as the husband, then the life at home is sure to be disturbed or ultimately completely broken. So in the modern day, the wife is never submissive. And therefore, home life is broken even by the slightest incident. He emphasizes that this is not, Prabhupada says that this does not mean it is a slave mentality for the wife. Rather, it is a tactic by which a woman can conquer the heart of her husband, however irritable or cruel he may be. So once Satyabhama inquired from Draupadi how she keeps all her husbands so happy. And she revealed the secrets, including doing things according to the way the husband wants. Getting up early than him, eating after him, sleeping after him, touching his feet, treating him more carefully than the children, and many more. See, we won't be able to follow everything, right? But we can try to do what are within our limits. So, as it is given in the scriptures, a woman should be dependent on her father before marriage, husband after marriage, and son afterwards. So, in the early days, women were so very submissive. That was their success secret. See, a couple of days back, I got a video. I think where Vaishnav family that Prabhu he was actually Pujari or something. He was 101 years, and he got married at the age of 17. So that means that was the first time he's Mangalsutra. Then at the age of then 60th, Sakshiyata Bhurti, then 80th, then 100, fourth time, four times, fourth marriage for the same. And they are so active and wonderful. So that is how 84 years of married life. Really unthinkable, right? In current day system. See, that is why the woman should be dependent on father before marriage, husband after marriage, son afterwards. So they were submissive, and that was the secret success. Success, secret. See, there was no existence of words like divorce in the dictionary. Now, since the tolerance has come down, with every slightest of arguments, it leads to separation. So all the ego problems should be set aside. In the clashes of ego, we sometimes forget that our children are observing us. And with all the rifts going on between the parents, the kids are torn apart, ruining their lives also. So marriage is not just a certificate to lead our life with someone, but it is also a commitment. Both have to be committed first to Krishna. Please understand, both have to be committed first to Krishna and then to each other. So our life should have first place for Krishna. Now, including Krishna in all activities. Okay. That will make us more engaged towards him, and gradually we won't find time for silly arguments. My Guru Maharaj always stresses on doing our work expertly. It also includes dealing with our spouses expertly and wisely. So let us all pray to Guru Srimad Krishna, right? To relieve us of our egoistic mind and give us the intelligence and tolerance to lead our life very expertly. See, Shastras is full of examples of ideal husbands and wives. Srila Prabhupada gives a wonderful example in the purport of 4:23:19. He says, Lord Ramachandra went to the forest in compliance with the order of his father, Maharaj Dasharatha, right? But Mother Sita was not so, she was not ordered to go, but she voluntarily accepted the path of her husband. Similarly, Gandhari, wife of King Dhritarashtra, she also followed Dhritarashtra into the forest. So, being the wives of great personalities, right, like Lord Ramachandra, Dhritarashtra, and all, these were ideal chaste women. Now, such queens also instructed the general people by showing them how to become a chaste wife and follow the husband in every stage of life. So, you see, in describing the greatness of Mother Archi, the wife of Maharaj Prithu, the wife of demigods, no, they speak in 4:23:25. They said, all glories to Queen Archi. We can see that this queen of the great King Prithu, the emperor of all the kings of the world, has served her husband with mind, speech, and body exactly as the goddess of fortune serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yajnesha or Vishnu. So in the purport, Prabhupada enlightens us upon the beautiful point that wives should try to serve the husbands personally to please them. He quotes the example of Krishna and Rukmini. See, when Lord Krishna, the Supreme Vishnu, was ruling over Dwaraka, Queen Rukmini, no, was the chief of all Krishna's queens. She used to serve Lord Krishna personally, in spite of having so many hundreds of maid servants to assist her. Similarly, the goddess of fortune in the Vaikuntha planets also serves Narayana personally, although there are many thousands of devotees prepared to serve the Lord. Nowadays, what? Everything is machinized. The food comes from the hotel, or the appointed cook comes and prepares the food. Clothes are washed by the machine. Household activities are done by the servant maids. And the earned salary goes to the doctors and physiotherapists. The husband neither stays at home nor enlightens himself with some shastric knowledge. And there is an unwanted teacher called television, which rules the house. So the result is demonic future generation. So who is to be blamed? Please think over. We have to introspect all these things, right? See, the 20th verse says, the translation says, although her position was unique from all points of view, saintly Devavati, in spite of all her possessions, which were envied even by the ladies of the heavenly planets, she gave up all such comforts. She was only sorry that a great son was separated from her. The purport Prabhupada says, Devavati was not at all sorry at giving up her material comforts. Huh? Please understand this. She was not sorry about that, but she was very much aggrieved at the separation of her son. Now, it may be questioned here that if Devavati was not at all sorry to give up the material comforts of life, then why was she sorry about losing her son? Kapil Muni. Why was she so attached to her son? The answer is explained. Prabhupada says in the next verse. See, Kapil Muni was not an ordinary son. Her son was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can give up material attachment. Therefore, only when one is attached, has the attachment for the Supreme Person. And this is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Param drishtva nivartate. Only one actually has some taste for spiritual existence can he be reluctant to follow the materialistic way of life. See, the essential difference in the position of the impersonalist and the devotee is that the devotee has accepted within his heart that Krishna is the enjoyer, proprietor, and friend of everyone. Not only has he accepted it, but he is able to appreciate Krishna in the position as a supreme enjoyer. That's why in 2.5 and Bhagavad Gita, Param Dursva Nivartate, one who has tasted the beauty of the Supreme Lord Krishna in the course of his advancement in Krishna consciousness no longer has a taste for dead material things. He will not have that. So this transformation of the heart, however, is not found in the impersonalist who consider himself the supreme enjoyer. Mayavadis, right? So unless this transformation takes place, attraction for sense enjoyment will remain. It will always remain in the heart. So my Guru Maharaj often stresses the point that our goal should be clear. Therefore, we should be very much careful to always keep that ultimate goal. What is that? Of developing love for Krishna in our view, always in front of us. So this will give determination to overcome Maya's proposals to enjoy without Krishna. That's why Prabhupada's final point, it serves as warning that one may be engaged externally in the process of Bhakti Yoga, but if one is not serious or transforming the heart, there can never be peace. So that's a very important point to understand. That's why the 21st verse is although another very good, wherein the translations is Devuti's husband, Kadamamuni, had already left home and accepted the renounced order of life. Okay. And then her only son, Kapila, he also later on left home. After all the instructions and everything was given to mother, whatever question in the previous chapters we have seen. So although she knew all the truths of life and death, although her heart was cleansed of all the dirt, she was aggrieved at the loss of her son. Just as a cow is affected when her calf dies. In the purport, Prabhupada says, a woman whose husband is away from home or has taken the renounced order of life should not be very sorry because she still has the presence of her husband's representative, her son. It is said in the Vedic scriptures, Atmaiva putro jayate. The husband's body is represented by the son. Now, strictly speaking, a woman is never widowed if she has a grown-up son. Now, Devavati was not very much affected while Kapila Muni was there, right? But upon his departure, she was very much afflicted. So she grieved, not because of her worldly relationship with Kadma Muni, but because of her sincere love for the personality of Godhead. Very important. Because of her sincere love for the personality of Godhead, she was getting aggrieved. So, see, the example given here is that Devavati became just like a cow who has lost her calf. See, a cow bereft of her calf cries day and night. So Devavati was aggrieved similarly. And she always cried and requested her friends and relatives, please bring my son home so that I may live, otherwise I will die. This intense affection for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although manifested as affection for one's son, is spiritually beneficial. Beautiful point, Prabhupada. This intense affection for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although manifested as affection for one's son, is spiritually beneficial. And the next point, Prabhupada says, attachment for a material son obliges one to remain in material existence. But the same attachment, when transferred to the Supreme Lord, brings one elevation to the Supreme spiritual world in the association of the Lord. So every woman can qualify herself as much as Devavati. And then can also have the Supreme Godhead as her son. Now, if the Supreme Personality of Godhead can appear as a son of Devavati, he can also appear as a son of any other woman, provided that woman is qualified. So if one gets the Supreme Lord as a son, one can have the benefit of bringing up a nice son in this world. At the same time, get promotion to the spiritual world to become face-to-face associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's a very nice point to write. And the 22nd verse, the translation says, O Vidura, thus always meditating upon her son, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Kapil Deva, she very soon became unattached to her nicely decorated home. Very important point to understand. She was telling that she was always meditating upon her son, right? But her son was not an ordinary son. Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapil. By meditating on that, she became unattached to her nicely decorated home. So in the purport Prabhupada, in the first statement, he says, here is a practical example of how one can elevate oneself in spiritual advancement by Krishna consciousness. See, as it is given in I think the purport will be, you can see, it will be there. The Kapil Deva is Krishna. Okay. And he appeared as son of Devavati. Now, after Kapil Deva left home, Devavati was absorbed in the thought of him. and she's always Krishna conscious. So a constant situation in Krishna consciousness enabled her to be detached from all the material decoration, the nice homes and everything. So unless we are able to transfer our attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no possibility of becoming freed from material attachment. Srimad Bhagavatam confirms that it is not possible for one to become liberated by cultivation of empiric philosophical speculation. Simply knowing that one is not matter but spirit or spirit soul or Brahman does not purify one's intelligence. See, even if the impersonalist, even if he reaches the highest platform of spiritual realization, he falls down again to the material attachment because of not being situated in the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So the devotees adopt the devotional process, hearing about the Supreme Lord's pastimes, glorifying his activities, always remembering his beautiful eternal form. So by rendering service, or becoming his friend or his servant and offering him everything that one possesses, one is able to enter into the kingdom of God. That's why in Bhagavad Gita it says, Tato mam tatvato gyatva. After discharging pure devotional service, one can understand the Supreme Personality of God in fact, and thus one becomes eligible to enter into this association in one of the spiritual planets. That's why 18.55 Bhagavad Gita. That's Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tatvatah tato mam tatvato gyatva vishate tad anantaram. So after discharging pure devotional service, one can understand the Supreme Personality of God in fact. And then we can be eligible to enter into spiritual planets. In the 23rd verse, translation says, thereafter, after all these points, thereafter, having heard with great eagerness and in all detail from her son Kapil Deva, the eternally smiling personality of Godhead, Devoti began to meditate constantly upon the Vishnu form of the Supreme Lord. After hearing all these wonderful devotional activities. See, the 24-25 verse, the translation says, just now we saw, right? The previous line. Thereafter, having heard with great eagerness, we should have that eagerness and enthusiasm for hearing Krishna Katha and to improve in our devotional service. So she was having heard after doing this, she started meditating constantly upon the form of the Lord. So she was not an impulsive. Yes. So she did so with serious engagement in devotional service. Another important, she did so with serious engagement in devotional service. Now, because she was strong in renunciation, she accepted only the necessities of the body. Again, minimum requirement only for the body, but we do more for the body and less for the soul. So she became situated in knowledge due to realization of the absolute truth. So her heart became purified. She became fully absorbed in meditation upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And all misgivings due to the modes of material nature, they all disappeared. See, now 26 was in the beginning, we just read that verse, right? So this purport is very wonderful. I think we'll share and we should go through this purport day in and day out. So this is the 26th verse which we recite, right? So now her mind became completely engaged in the Supreme Lord. And she automatically realized the knowledge of the impersonal Brahman. See, as a Brahman realized soul, she was freed from the designations of the materialistic concept of life. So thus all material pangs disappeared and she attained transcendental bliss. Now please hear with rapt attention the purport. Just reading is not enough. You have to realize also. See, the previous verse states that Devoti was already conversant with the absolute truth. It may be questioned why she was meditating. Meditating means people just meditate in the void and all. So the explanation is that when one theoretically discusses the absolute truth, he becomes situated in the impersonal concept of the absolute truth. Only the light, effulgent. Now, similarly, when one seriously discusses the subject matter of the form, qualities, pastimes, and entourage of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he becomes situated in meditation on him, on the form only. So if one has complete knowledge of the Supreme Lord, if one has complete knowledge of the Supreme Lord, the knowledge of the impersonal Brahman is automatically realized. So the absolute truth is realized, but the knower according to three different angles of vision, right? We know this. Impersonal Brahman, localized super soul, Paramatma, and ultimately Supreme Personality of Godhead. The example of the sun, sun rays, the sun disk, and the sun itself, right? The sun rays are the impersonal Brahman. The sun disk is the localized super soul, Paramatma, and the actual sun is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So therefore, if one is situated in knowledge of the Supreme Person, this implies that one is already situated in the concept of the super soul and the impersonal Brahman. See, in Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. This means, unless one is freed from the mental entanglement and situated in Brahman, there is no question of entering into the understanding of devotional service or engaging in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada says, one who is engaged in devotional service to Krishna is understood to be already realized in the Brahman concept of life. Because transcendental knowledge of Supreme Personality of Godhead includes knowledge of Brahman. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Brahmano hi pratishtaham. The concept of the personality of Godhead does not depend on Brahman. The Vishnu Puran also confirms that one who has taken shelter of the all auspicious Supreme Personality Lord is already situated in the understanding of Brahman. In other words, one who is a Vaishnava is already a Brahmana. See, another significant point of this verse is that one has to observe the prescribed rules and regulations. So, see, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Yuktahara Viharasya. When one engages in devotional service in Krishna consciousness, very nice point. When we all engage in devotional service in Krishna consciousness, he still has to eat, sleep, defend, and mate, because these are necessities of the body. But he performs such activities in a regulated way. How? He has to eat Krishna Prasad. He has to sleep according to regulatory principles. The principle is to, to reduce the duration of sleep and to reduce eating, taking only what is needed to keep the body fit. In short, the goal is spiritual advancement. That is the goal, not sense gratification. Similarly, sex life must be reduced. Sex life is meant only for begetting Krishna conscious children. Otherwise, there is no necessity for sex life. See, nothing is prohibited, but everything is made yukta, regulated, with a higher purpose always in mind. See, by following all these rules and regulations of living, one becomes purified. And all misconceptions due to ignorance becomes nil. So it is specifically mentioned here. The causes of mental entanglement are completely vanquished. So the Sanskrit statement, Anartha Nivritti, indicates that this body is unwanted. We are spirit soul, and there is never any need of this material body also. But because we wanted to enjoy the material body, we have this body through the material energy under the direction of Supreme Personality Godhead. So as soon as we are re-established in our original position of servitorship to the Supreme Lord, we begin to forget the necessities of the body, and at last we forget the body. Prabhupada gives an example. Sometimes in a dream, we get a particular type of body in a dream with which we to work in the dream. Work in the dream. I may dream that I am flying in the sky or that I have gone to the forest or some unknown place. But as soon as I'm awake, I forget all these bodies. Flying in the sky, going to the forest. You forget. Only in the dream you is there. So similarly, when one is in Krishna conscious, fully devoted, he forgets all his changes of body. See, we are always changing bodies, beginning at birth from the womb of our mother. But when we are awakened to Krishna consciousness, we forget all these bodies. So the bodily necessities become secondary. For the primary necessity is the engagement of the soul in real spiritual life. So the activities of devotional service in full Krishna consciousness, this is very important. Activity of devotional service in full Krishna consciousness, not partial here, according to your whatever is required. As I like, at your own whims and fancies. No. Activity of devotional service in full Krishna consciousness are the cause of our being distributed in transcendence. So the word Bhagavati Atma Samshraye denote the personality of God as the supreme soul, or the soul of everyone. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Bijam Mam Sarva Bhutana. I am the seed of all entities. By taking shelter of the Supreme Being, by the process of devotional service, one becomes fully situated in the concept of the personality of Godhead. So, as described by Kapila, no, Madguna Shruti Matrena, one who is fully Krishna conscious, situated in the personality of God, is immediately saturated with love of God as soon as he hears about the transcendental qualities of the Lord. That's why hearing Krishna Katha day in and day out, so wonderful. So devotee is fully instructed by her son Kapil Deva on how to concentrate her mind on the Vishnu form in full detail. So following the instructions of her son in the matter of devotional service, she contemplated the form of the Lord within herself with great devotional love. So that is the perfection of Brahman realization or the mystic yoga system or devotional service. See, at the ultimate issue, when one is fully absorbed in the thought of the Supreme Lord and meditates on Him constantly, that is the highest perfection. So Bhagavad Gita confirms that one who is always absorbed in such a way is to be considered the topmost yogi. So the real purpose of all processes of transcendental realization, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, is to arrive at the point of devotional service. If one endeavors simply to achieve knowledge of the absolute truth or the supreme super soul, but has no devotional service, he labors without gaining the result, real result. It will be Shrama Eva He Kevalam. So this is compared to beating the husks of wheat after the grains have already been removed. So unless one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be the ultimate goal, it is valueless simply to speculate or perform mystic yoga practice. See, in the Ashtanga Yoga system, the seventh stage of perfection is Dhyana. And this Dhyana is the third stage in devotional service. There are 9 stages of devotional service. The first is hearing, Shravanam, then come chanting, Kirtanam, and then come meditating, right? Dhyana. So by executing devotional service, one automatically becomes an expert Jnani and an expert Yogi. In other words, Jnana and Yoga are different preliminary stages of devotional service. So Devoti was expert in accepting the real substance, and she contemplated the form of Vishnu in detail, as advised by a smiling son Kapil Deva. At the same time, she was thinking of Kapil Deva, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore she completely perfected her austerities, penances, and transcendental realization. What a beautiful purpose. How she realized, no, what it's very simple devotional process has been given. See, the Vishnu Puran also confirms that one who has taken shelter of the all auspicious Supreme Personality of Godhead is already situated in the understanding of Brahman. In other words, one who is the Vaishnava is already a Brahmana. In the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, you find Arjuna says that you are Param Brahma, Krishna. You are Param Brahma. Similarly, if anyone knows Brahman, Parabrahman, Krishna, he is Brahmana. Brahma Janati iti Brahmana. So one who knows the Supreme Brahman, Krishna, he is a Brahmana. Not a person who is born in the family of Brahmana. He may be Chandala by his mentality. So Bhagavatam says, Yasya hi hai yal lakshanam. 7:11:35. If one shows the symptoms of being a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, even if he has appeared in a different class, he should be accepted according to those symptoms of classification. So these are symptoms. You will find all these in Bhagavad Gita. Who is a Brahmana, who is Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. By symptoms of characteristics, you will know. Similarly, if you find a man who knows Krishna, you must accept him. He is a Brahmana. Brahma Janati iti Brahmana. The 27th translation is situated in eternal trance and freed from illusion, impelled by the modes of middle nature, she forgot her middle body, just as one forgets his different bodies in a dream. See, great Vaishnava said that he who has no remembrance of his body is not bound to material existence. As long as we are conscious of our bodily existence, it is understood that we are living conditionally under the 3 modes of material nature. Yeah, 100% sure, right? Because we are always thinking of the body. So when one forgets his bodily existence, his conditional material life is over. See, this for 1 hour which we are sitting and hearing Bhagavatam, our bodily, we forgotten the bodily existence, right? Conditional existence. It is not there. So this forgetfulness is actually possible when we engage our senses in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So hearing Krishna Katha, this is also loving service of the Lord. So in the conditioned state, one engages in senses as a member of a family or as a member of a society or a country. But when one forgets all such membership in material circumstances and realizes that he is an eternal servant of the Supreme Lord Krishna, that is actual forgetfulness of material existence. So this forgetfulness actually occurs when one renders service unto the Lord. See, a devotee no longer works with the body for sense gratification, with family, society, country, humanity, and so on. He simply works for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is perfect Krishna consciousness. A devotee always merges in transcendental happiness. So he has no experience of mental distresses. So this transcendental happiness is called eternal bliss. According to the opinion of devotees, constant remembrance of the Supreme Lord is called samadhi, trance. So if one is constantly in trance, there is no possibility of his being attacked or even touched by the modes of material nature. As soon as one is freed from the contamination of the three modes of material nature, he no longer has to take birth to transmigrate from one form to another in this material world. So time is over, it's another 5 minutes. So I'll just skip over the 28, 29. Because, each verse has so many things to be discussed, but we'll take them, some of them which will be very useful for us to understand. So the 30th verse, he says, My dear Udara, by following the principles instructed by Kapila, Devati soon became liberated from material bondage and achieved the supreme personality of Godhead as super soul without difficulty. So what is the important thing is, by following the principles instructed by Kapila, he was like a spiritual master. He was a spiritual master. So it just means we have to follow the instructions given by our Guru. Just by following this, what happens? We soon become liberated, we can become from liberated from mental bondage and achieve supreme personality of Godhead without any difficulty. And the 31st was the place where Devati achieved her perfection, my dear Vidura, is understood to be a most secret spot. It is known all over the three worlds as Siddhapada. Siddhapada. 32, he says, Dear Vidura, Maitremani is telling to Vidura, right? The metal elements of our body have melted into water and are now flowing river, which is most sacred of all rivers. Anyone who bathes in that river also attains perfection. And therefore, all persons who desire perfection go bathe there. The 33rd verse, My dear Vidura, the great sage Kapila, the personality of Godhead, left his father's hermitage with the permission of his mother and went towards northeast. He just did not leisurely. Permission of the mother, he left. The 34th, he says, while he was passing in the northern direction, all the celestial denizens known as Charanas and Gandharvas, as well as the Munis and damsels of the heavenly planets, prayed and offered him in all respects. The ocean offered him oblations and a place of residence. See, the Purport Prabhu says, it is understood that Kapil Muni first went towards the Himalayas and traced the course of the river Ganges. And he again came to the delta of the Ganges at the sea, now known as the Bay of Bengal. The ocean gave him residence at a place still known as Ganga Sagara, where the river Ganges meets the sea. So that place is called Ganga Sagara Tirtha. And even today, people gather there to offer respects to Kapil Deva, the original author of the Sankhya system of philosophy. Unfortunately, this Sankhya system has been misrepresented by an impostor who also named himself as Kapila. But that other system of philosophy does not tally with anything described by the Sankhya of Kapila in the Srimad Bhagavatam. In the 35th verse, even now Kapila Muni is staying there in trance for the deliverance of the conditioned souls in the three worlds. And all the acharyas or great teachers of the system of Sankhya philosophy are worshipping him. The 36th verse, My dear son, since you have inquired from me, I have answered. O sinless one, the descriptions of Kapil Deva and his mother and their activities are the purest of all pure discourses. So all of you have been hearing this since last Saturday. In fact, all the chapters also have been coming on, especially this chapter. Very sincerely, with rapt attention, we are trying to imbibe all these instructions of Kapil Deva as Devati Mata has been taking up. So what is the effect of hearing this thing? The description of the dealings of Kapil Deva and his mother is very confidential. And anyone who hears or reads this narration becomes a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is carried by Garuda, and he therefore enters into the abode of the Supreme Lord to engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. This is the Falashruti. So the narration of Kapil Deva and his mother Devoti is so perfect and transcendental that even if one only hears or reads this description, he achieves the highest perfection, personal goal of life. For he engages in the loving service of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there is no doubt that devotee who had the Supreme Lord as their son, and who followed the instructions of Kapil Deva so nicely, attained the highest perfection of human life. So same way, we have all been speaking, hearing, trying to put into our life. So by doing that, you get the achieve the highest perfection of whole life, and that is engaging the loving service of the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna. Jai Kantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai Nitai Gaurav very good. So thank you very much, Mataji, Hare Krishna, for giving me this opportunity to glorify the Lord and basically to purify ourselves. That's the main purpose, right? Only by hearing, following the instructions, we can purify. Just we have to follow what Kapil Muni has instructions have been given to his mother and how she accepted those instructions and put it to practice and how she became perfect. So this is a very nice chapter. We should go here and read and try to take very good lessons from this. Thank you very much, Maharaj. Anantapudi Vaishnavandaki Jivancha Kalpatarubhischa Krivasandhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavapim. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Dandavat pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Hare
very much.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mataji.